Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully everybody can hear us okay. John, I can hear more of me because your microphone's working again.
Yeah, I know. I like it. I like the sound of my own voice.
I'm going to turn myself down. All right, there we go. There we go.
You gotta love hardware. It's good stuff.
Yeah, well, it happens, and it's no fun, but
You get through it. It happens. That's what it's all about.
it's not the first time I've ever experienced something like this, right?
No.
No. No.
I remember many a times we had technical difficulties at the old show.
Yeah. All right. Did you text Braxton, tell him we're coming to him in a few minutes?
Yeah, I told him we'd call when we got everything up and running. So hopefully we're ready for that.
All right.
Are we okay to take a call? Are we okay to call?
Yeah, we're okay to call.
Are you sure?
Well, we'll find that out.
Okay.
Eric is.
I don't think we are ready to call. I don't see how we are, but
Come up here, Steve.
Well, okay.
The headset.
Hold on. All right.
Hit test.
It rang. He's funny. All right, John. Before we get Braxton on the phone, and I do have his number in there. And again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the patience. It's truly appreciated. John, why don't you tell us what you've got booked, what's coming? Oh, by the way, let me tell a story real quick. So the governor on last Friday says, and the prohibition on live entertainment is lifted unless you've got vocals and woodwind instruments.
Yeah.
That pretty much just cut you right out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I felt slighted. I felt like he knew who I was and, doesn't want me to play. No, I'm joking.
Colleen says all is good. She can hear us just fine. Thank you, Mr. Marple.
It's good. It's good to know that. I would hate to sit here for half an hour. So anyway, yes, it's still frustrating, but I think we're moving in the right direction. I think within the next couple of weeks, hopefully by St. Patty's Day, we're good. I could definitely see him after St. Patty's Day, just kind of saying,
Remember, it was St. Patty's Day that was the last evening.
It was the last event of the world for music last year. But yeah, we got some cool stuff this week. Everything's starting to pick back up. Ogilvy's got a couple things going on up there with wine tasting coming up very soon in the next month. They have one coming up this weekend, but I think they're already pretty much packed up there already for that one. But so at Prima Marina, they're going to open back up with some live music. They have a little penalty box that he built. It's really cool, but it looks inside the window. So technically, you are inside. You're not inside the building, but people can see you through the window, and he runs the sound through the house sound.
So the performers outside, the people are inside.
They are technically outside, yes, but they are enclosed in a box. It's like a little soundproof room. It's really cool. But I'm gonna have Mr. Jeff Suddeth there this this Saturday at Prima Marina from 7 to 10. Mr. Gage Joseph, it'll be the Gage Joseph duo. It'll actually be Gage Joseph, and he'll have Mr. Greg Molnar accompanying him on guitar. And that'll be at Riverside Restaurant. That'll be 7 to 10. Let's see what else. I believe Jim Bursey is playing at Generations this Saturday from 9:30 to 12:30.
I did see that sound. We had a great dinner at Generations last
yes,
night.
and a couple things coming up that we will run over. If we call Braxton here, we can go over some of the things that we have planned for him.
Yeah.
I've been putting together the schedule for the Center Market. It's done. Got a lot of great acts. We're going to start this year in June. We usually start in May, but we're going to push it back to June with everything going on with regulations and things like that. We just think it's a safer start time. But got a great lineup there. Great lineup at the Ogilvy Sunday Concert Series, which I will go over, in the next couple weeks. I'm still finishing up that schedule, but once it's complete, we can review all that as well. So yeah, they're going in the right direction. We got some things going on. I like it.
Let's just keep being careful out there, folks.
Yeah. St. Patty's Day could be a spike if we don't act accordingly. I can see that.
Yeah,
and that'll be the last one for a while because it's Easter after that. But
now we have 75% occupancy, and gatherings 75, no more than 75. That's up from 50. The numbers are down. But when I talked to Lou Vargo, ladies and gentlemen, I asked him. I said, Lou, why the decrease? We had the big holiday spike.
Right.
And I get it. I'm not saying a bad thing about anybody going to see their families. We had a nice dinner here on Christmas Day.
I mean, if you look at maybe the weather has something to do with it. Kids aren't going. They weren't going back to school because of the weather. So maybe that had something to do with the curtailing the numbers down.
Right.
Not as much spread in the schools. I could see that having a large part to do with it. Yeah.
Right. By the way, at 4 o'clock, Ben Seidler, Ward 2 City Councilman here in Wheeling, he's coming in. The demolition list for Ward 2 will be released for the first time on the program by Councilman Seidler. So that's coming up. All right. Are you ready to get Braxton on?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and do this test. And folks, you're going to hear this and that. And immediately I'm going to say, Braxton, you're on the air. Okay, there's one ringy dingy.
Hello?
Braxton, it's Steve Novotney. You are live on the podcast right now. We had some technical difficulties. Actually, my voice blew up one of my mixers. So Eric did some quick surgery, got it all working again, at least with 2 mics. And Mr. Jon Banco and I, we can hear you just fine. Right, John?
Absolutely.
All right, Braxton. Hey, number one, I want to say congratulations. As soon as the Char House opened, of course, we were anxious to get there, and we got there in time to be able to see some entertainment outside before the weather changed. And Braxton, you got to know I'm going to bring up the crab cake, right?
Absolutely. That's the only thing I think you eat up here.
That's not true.
About 90% of the time.
I'm going to go 80 as of right now, but it's going to be more. It's not going to be more than 80% because me, the wife, and my son, we figured out a combo. We're going to get the crab cake pretty much every time, but we're going to split it and then get a dinner or lunch.
There you go. I like that better. That's good.
All right, now, as far as my tech is here, can I get Braxton a little bit better, a little higher volume level?
Move your top bar to the right.
Okay, move the top bar to the right. All right. Okay. All right, Braxton, keep talking to me, my friend.
Well, sounds good. But, no, I just want to say thanks for bringing me on the show. Thank you again for doing the wonderful article that you did. Just want to thank John for everything he's done too, setting up the live events. So I know he sent me an email the other day for March and April, so I can't wait to have a little party outside again like we used to.
We are very much looking forward to that, Braxton. We truly are. Now, why don't you tell everybody, if you're ready, if you're not ready to explain it, that's fine and dandy, but there's going to be some changes on that patio come warmer weather. If you can, tell us about it.
Yeah, there's going to be some, it'll be covered. It'll be an enclosed structure. The spring and summer will still be open on the side, just on the roof, just in case it rains or weather permitting. But there'll be some heaters coming from above. Even at nighttime, we'll turn them on. Also, they blow, cold air as well, kind of like in the air conditioning. And then the fall and in the winter time, we'll have plexiglass on the side that roll down. So any snow or cold weather hits, you still get an outdoor feel. So it'll be a very, very good thing. We've started that now. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we can finish that project.
Well, we're excited for that, Braxton, because, that outside, the inside, and this is a story a lot of people don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but the majority of the work on the interior of the Char House was performed by Braxton and his dad. Tell us about that.
Oh, it was a long 6 months. I'm not the most handy guy in the world, so I got to learn how to use a hammer and a drill, but it was just kind of an idea that we had in our head, and we started piecing things together, and we kind of built a bar and laid the floor ourselves, put the tables and chairs, the booths together, and had some artifacts around Wheeling in the state of West Virginia that are hanging on the walls. So wanted to kind of bring a welcome feel to the Char House, kind of dim lighting, kind of the rustic look with steel, different nails, different metals on the wall that was, from the state of West Virginia that was made. There's some artifacts in here, even in the Esquire room we call it, there's some artifacts in there. We just went for the industrial look, just a Wheeling blue collar town, and we just wanted to keep the scene going.
Yeah, and the lighting inside is, I'll use the word because it's gorgeous, dude. I mean, you see it. I even took photos of the lighting on the interior and then I came home and showed my wife, Michelle, the lighting, and I'm like, if we can figure out how to do this, can we please do it? So,
it's very easy. It's more simple than you think. It's just you got to think outside the box. So that's what the big cities are doing. That's when I moved back from Cincinnati. Pretty much every new restaurant and brewery everything was steel in the dim lighting, the Edison light bulbs. That's kind of the new trend right now.
Okay, well I'm a huge fan, and the place sure was beautiful. We came up for the birthday dinner in early December, and it's just gorgeous inside, man.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Outside, the outside it's table. It's old barn wood that we cut down, poured concrete, made tables, and built a stage, built a concrete bar, and just kind of kept the theme outside, just old industrial look.
We'll get to live entertainment here in a moment, but Braxton, thus far, what has proven to be the most popular menu items?
The most popular is the filet, the New York strip, and surprisingly, the veal. The veal marsala is
that's good.
Is coming up through the ranks. The crab cake's one of our best-selling appetizers, the scallops, but also the best-selling appetizer is still the Ernie's cooked keel. A lot of people are kind of shocked and in awe because that's what they used to have up here. That was their staple. So we knew when we opened, we got the original recipe, from a lady. And we kind of did some things different. There's some secrets to it, the way it's made, and the way that it's processed, and everything. But that's a big staple. But like I said, we just specialize in the seafood and steaks. Never had really any complaints on it. But yeah, we're happy with the success. I mean, we did open in the middle of COVID. We've been riding the wave like everyone else, but I'm very pleased at our team of how we've been handling the success and giving the best service to our customers.
Now, Braxton, when we did the story, of course, I came up and I sat down with you, John, and your father. You said a lot of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Pleasantly, people have to make reservations to be able to get in. Still the case now?
Yes, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, definitely reservations. Wednesday is doing very good. Tonight we have our Wine Down Wednesday.
Okay.
That's our signature Wednesday. So different price apps, and we just promote the Char House wine. But usually, like I said, Wednesday to Saturday, definitely reservations. Sunday in the summertime, they were reservation only as well.
Okay. Now, live entertainment. I'm going to bring Jon Banco into the conversation as Councilman Ben Seidler arrives to the studio. John, take it away, man.
Yeah, with the next couple of months, with the way the regulations are, we are going to we're going to have strictly instrumental music, and that keeps us within the regulations. So we got a great lineup in March. We're going to kick it off with Mr. Roger Horde. Then we're pretty much just going to rotate Roger, a gentleman by the name of Rick Purcell, who's a piano player, Eli Lambie, who is a concert piano player for the Wheeling Symphony, and Mr. Michael Murphy. So we're just going to rotate those guys until we hit May, and then when we kick off in May, we got a great lineup starting in May. Just off the top of my head, a couple of them include, I think we're going to kick off May, the outdoor event with dueling pianos, followed by MSM, which is Miller Smith Major, which is the finest, tightest trio in the land. And then we got Mr. Roger Horde, and then we're just going to rotate some different acts. We're going to have eight or nine different acts that we shall rotate throughout this summer. And then we're also going to do some comedy shows on some Saturdays and things like that, and we'll make sure that everybody's aware of when those dates are, when we get all that locked down. But the patio was amazing last year. I can't wait to see what he does with it this year. It's going to complement the food, and the food's going to complement the environment. And the ability to have that indoor structure now, opens up his capacity throughout the year, and we can have entertainment as much as we want once that's done. So the sky's really the limit as far as the entertainment at the Char House. It's going to be one of the premier venues to see some really, really cool acts. And we're doing some different stuff than I'm doing with the other venues.
Right. Braxton, a very good friend of mine, Bob Gaudio. He goes by R.J. Gaudio Troubadour. I think he would be great up at the Char House during like a dinner service. You know what I mean? Like maybe 7 to 9 or 6 to 8. Are you planning dinner service music?
Yes, we talked to John. We'd like to maybe do something on a Friday or something inside with the piano or a couple other things. So we have it in the works. It's just finding the dates and the times and just promoting it.
Maybe some brunch too. Maybe some Sunday brunches as well.
That would be, yeah.
We were thinking about doing something like that too. Yeah, just the options are limitless. I mean, they have a baby grand piano inside.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
Beautiful piano.
And they don't have to drag all their speakers in. It's not very loud. It's not too loud. It's not too soft. It's perfect for the room. And with the wood and the metal in the room, it makes for some really nice acoustics in there as well. So
right.
Yeah, it's beautiful inside, but once we get outside, it's just. I mean, people were just in awe last year of how great it looked. So.
Well, and also Braxton, with the permanent structure, you don't have to worry. Like, I feel like sitting outside the Char House having something great to eat. Well, it might rain. That structure that you guys are going to do, that's going to erase that.
Correct. Yep. That's one of the ideas when we did have a music venue towards the end of the night where it was like a monsoon, and that was a little crazy trying to get everyone inside and seated. And but that's kind of when it started that we need that we do need a permanent structure over top, just in case of weather permitting.
Right. What else, Braxton? I mean, now when I asked you about the popular menu items, you failed to mention the pizza, but I always hear great things about that wood-fired pizza.
Yeah, the wood-fired pizza is very good. It is a top seller. The top seller wood-fired pizza is the chicken Gouda. It's a unique pizza. A lot of people like it. It has a little spice to it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're one of the very few people around here in the valley that has a wood-fired oven, let alone inside the restaurant. And sitting at the bar, it's kind of like a little entertainment. You see the guys kind of toss the dough. You see the pizzas rotate inside. You see the fire. So it's kind of like a mini show. And that's what we wanted to do. We kind of wanted to showcase that as well. When you do sit at the bar, when you walk in, that's kind of, it's a bright red. And it kind of draws you as soon as you walk in. So there's a lot of people that have pointed that out. You see some people, when they walk in, they kind of take a look, walk by the bar. So it is something. With wood-fired pizza, we do have a special, Sunday and Mondays, for carry-out. That if you buy a pizza, you get the second one half off. So we've been doing, very good with those, just trying to promote it a little bit more.
I got you. And Braxton, don't tell the story about that until you tell it to me and I write about it, okay?
No, I won't. I promise.
Yeah, don't tell anybody about it. You told me the story, and I'm like, hey, that's a great story. I'm coming up. And then, of course, the Upper Ohio Valley became like the state of Alaska for a week or so. But yeah, I'll be up. I could possibly be up. John and I are running around tomorrow. I could be up tomorrow. We can do that interview, and I can take some photos.
Absolutely. You know where to find me.
I most certainly do. Now, Braxton, this weekend, anything planned, John? Or are you guys doing something this weekend?
Not this weekend. We'll kick off the instrumental series for March and April on next Saturday, I believe. Yes, next Saturday. And as I said, that'll be Mr. Roger Board on March 6th. And that'll be, I believe we're going to do 6 to 9.
Excuse me.
Since we're inside. Now, when we move it outside, we'll probably switch back to like a 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock time frame. It seems to work better that way. And, we don't know the time. So the quicker, the slower it gets darker, the slower it gets darker, we usually can extend throughout the evening. When nighttime hits early, we kind of placate to that. So
yeah, but the lighting outside is going to be magnificent too.
Yeah, and people like to when it's outside, they like to sit around and drink and have some drinks later after dinner and stick around. When you're eating inside, usually people come and they kind of rotate the tables around. So we thought a 6 to 9 would be a better time frame just to capitalize on when the people are there and eating and drinking.
All right, now, Braxton, me and the family, we're planning on coming up right after Michael is finished with work on Friday, 5:15 or so. So make that reservation, will you, young man?
Absolutely. I will for you, absolutely.
All right. Braxton, anything else you want out there? Of course, you're one of our advertisers on Lead News, and, we're going to be touching base with you plenty during the spring and summer months just to get the word out. Any other information you want out there before I let you go?
Just we are, like I said, Sunday and Monday, we have the buy pizza, get the second one half off. Wednesdays, the wine down Wednesdays, specialties on wine and appetizers. Thursday, we do have prime rib special on Thursdays. Friday, Saturday, we have chef specials, different kind of fish. I know last week we had a New Zealand sea bass. We had a filet Oscar. So we're doing some different things. We always have new beer coming in daily. We got 24 beer on tap, or 24 beers on tap, all craft beer. 5 of those are from the state of West Virginia. So at least we always make sure that down at Karen Bowers, they help us with with the Greenbrier and the Big Timber.
Sure.
So we make sure we support. And then also, once the patio opens, we're going to have a new thing on Sundays. We're going to have a Bloody Mary Mimosa bar. And then starting around 2 o'clock on Sundays, we'll have Sangria Sundays. So,
wow, all right. Those are great ideas, man.
Yeah.
You also have a prime rib on Thursdays, correct?
Yes, prime rib every Thursday.
Okay.
Braxton, when I was growing up, if one of us, and I'm one of 3 children to Ed and Marilyn Novotney, when one of us would get all A's on a report card, you're welcome, John and Marla, we would either go to the Anchor Room or we would go to Ernie's Esquire. So if I was the one to choose, I'd always go to my dad. And I'd be like, Dad, which one this time? Do you want the Lazy Man lobster up at the Anchor Room, or do you want prime rib at Ernie's? And he would always choose for me. And so many times it was Ernie's Esquire for that prime rib. So I'm real happy that you're carrying on that tradition as well.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to do some things. We do have a new menu coming out here in March. Different pizzas, different entrees, kind of some new summer sandwiches moving into the spring summer menu. So we'll have a couple of changes, a couple of those recipes that Ernie had. So we're trying to have the crowd too that had their proms and the weddings and the rehearsal dinners here. And it's kind of real nice when you talk to people. We did have a couple weeks ago that they were celebrating, I think, their 50th anniversary. And that's where they actually, I believe, they had their kids had their rehearsal dinners here, and it was pretty neat. It was pretty touching, and she actually brought up photos and some things. So it was very, it was kind of neat. You get to hear that. Well, I had prom here, and I met my wife here, and we have an engagement about once a week. So I guess we carry on the legacy about that. So
you do have a beautiful side room too for events there. It's a fantastic little room.
Yeah, and Braxton, what's the fish this weekend? You had me at sea bass.
I don't know. I don't know until the chef tells me. It gets. We have a program, a contract with the company. On Thursday, they fly in the fish. It's less than 24 hours taken out of the sea, so it is still fresh. It's never frozen. So I won't find out until Thursday night when he tells me. He usually doesn't tell me until Thursday. So once he tells me, everything will be on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, I'll make sure I check that. All right, sounds good. Braxton, thank you again for supporting Lead. You and your dad and your family and everything. Please tell everybody we said hi, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and we'll see you soon.
Not a problem. That's Braxton Nolte from, of course, the Char House up near Bethlehem. The Char House is technically in Wheeling. It's not in Bethlehem.
Yeah, I always direct people up there because it's basically right before you hit Bethlehem.
Yeah, it's on East Bethlehem Boulevard.
Right.
But the thing is, Bethlehem's dry.
Yeah, right. He's right on the. That's very smart.
You go another 50 feet up the road, you're in Dryville.
Yeah. So great location too, and one of the most densely populated areas in Wheeling is that area between Bethlehem and Elm Grove. You combine those two communities, that's a lot of people there. So he picked a great location, did a great job renovating it. and the food's amazing, and you pair that with the entertainment we got going on, and it's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, as far as what's this weekend? I mean, you're allowed to have instrumental, apparently. Here's the thing. And I posted about this on Facebook because I used to post a heck of a lot more, but I'm awfully more, I'm busier than ever. But, I'm watching, because of what I do for a living, I'm watching the West Virginia legislature, because of the regular session taking place, so on and so forth. And I'm watching this debate. And it's okay for them to debate behind plexiglass. But we're not allowed to have a singer behind plexiglass or a Jon Banco playing the saxophone. I know it's about the spray. It's all about the mist. But plexiglass does a nice job.
It seems like there are some locations, and I won't go into too much detail, that they're getting around things by providing certain barriers, structures.
Right.
It's almost like they had to specifically ask and design something, to the specifications of the health department to allow it to go. I also know there's places where if you have a balcony that is above the crowd you're playing for, they will allow you to do that because of the distancing that you have involved with that. But for the smaller places, it's really hard because you are kind of confined in this small area. And if you get a group of people coming in for happy hour, they're going to be it's tight quarters. So I get that. But the bigger venues seem to have a little bit of room to maneuver with the rules, and hopefully this will all lax and everybody will be on the same level playing field, which is where we need to be at. Because it's not fair that one place gets to do it but the other place doesn't, just because of how big they are. And I'm not knocking anybody or not knocking anybody. It's just how it is. I'm happy that you're allowing something to happen. Hopefully we can just get it across the board even for everybody.
Well, I'm hoping, but we all know what has to happen, and we have to have the lower numbers. I mean, that's just the way it is. The numbers have to stay down. Listen, I hate wearing a mask. I'm not going to lie. But early on, I'm like, okay, and I just wrote something about my dad being stubborn. I'm twice vaccinated. I'm throwing this mask away. Don't do that just yet. The way I look at it, and again, my daughter's a respiratory therapist. She's spoken common sense to me. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. And I follow the guidelines without even cussing. And I just decided with my mask, have fun with it, man. I mean, seriously, just have fun. Don't be vulgar, but have fun with it. Keep other people safe and keep yourself safe.
Yeah, I still find myself, get halfway to the grocery store for my parking spot, and I have to turn around and go all the way back. Oh, I forgot the mask, even though it's been a year. I
have a mask in every jacket I wear.
But sometimes it still doesn't sink in, and hopefully we get back to some sort of normality when it comes to that. I hate to see this become a prolonged thing where we're wearing masks forever.
I know. Dr. Fauci came out and said we're going to wear masks until 2022. Whatever. You going to wait for me? We going to Eden after the show, or are you bailing on me right now?
We'll see. We'll have to see.
That means bailing on me right now, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll see.
All right. We'll go ahead and take our top of the hour break. Jon Banco, the Gigmaster here in the Upper Ohio Valley. Many thanks to Braxton Nolte for joining us from the Char House. Wheeling Councilman Ben Seidler, he's the representative of Ward 2. We're going to talk about demolitions. Ben is going to release for the very first time the demolition list for Ward 2. We'll talk to Ben here in just a moment on Steve Novotney Lives.
Looking forward to seeing what you have going on. I mean, this podcast is great.
See, it's separate. See what you did? Sorry, Ben Seidler is here. I wasn't recording. And we have to record because Steve Novotney Lives is now on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, Google, Apple, and iTunes. We are broadcasting live on TuneIn Radio, and we are also on Listen Now.
That's great to know. I'm glad I can listen and then not be on Facebook at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I give all the credit to Erica Donahue. She went nuts with the podcast and got us on all kinds of streams and everything. And so I've heard of them all, but I never thought I'd be on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to have you back on the airwaves. It's you offer an incredible resource to our community with all the interest you bring to all of the events that we have going on here and all of the topics that are important to people here in our own city. So thank you for that.
Not a problem. When I was prepping for the show yesterday, Ben, number 2 on the list after finding out how you are and your family, everybody's good, right?
We're all good. Everybody's healthy, happy, safe, happy most of the time.
Most of the time, right?
Yeah, homework's a little stressful lately, but you know, two a full-time job and a half plus a part-time teacher. You know, it's a little bit stressful, but you know, I'm sure there's some blessings in disguise there with just the amount of quality time we've been able to have.
I think there's definitely some blessings that, you know, hopefully once the pandemic is over, the dream come true, right? Yeah. I know for years we're going to find out this and that about that and this, but hopefully families recover. You know, it's added stress to a lot of parents, such as yourself, and I get it. You know, and I told this story, I believe, last week, but I'll tell it real quick again. You know, when the pandemic started, I thought, okay, let's say Mandy and Mikey, my 2 kids, are in high school, and we're up in Pittsburgh. You know, like just push me back there because they graduated from Chartiers Valley. So let's say the pandemic goes down then. I thought, okay, well, I had a job at the time that, you know, I was doing the Pirates paper, and I could have been home for the kids, you know, during the day before going down for a game or, you know, stuff like that. But man, it's been a year. We are, 3 weeks from the shutdown anniversary.
It is. It's incredible. It's, you know, it's nothing that I would have ever expected. You know, I've been really blessed to have worked for a company that's been really flexible, and, you know, I'm really thankful for that.
Sure.
There's obviously been some heartache. I mean, you know, I've lost a couple of good friends, and you know, my prayers continue out to those families that are dealing with that or have dealt with that. You know, gosh, this thing, it's all over the place, and no mercy. But
no mercy is right.
I'm really thankful that a vaccine's out there. You know, the rollout is happening is probably as good as it probably could be anywhere. I know I keep hearing West Virginia's on the top ranking of getting those things rolled out. I don't know how much truth to that.
It's true. It is.
But I'm proud of that. I'm thankful that
we just need more supply here in Ohio County. Ben, up at the Highlands, the community vaccination center, they've got 10. They have, I don't want to call them stalls, but they have 10 areas where people can get vaccinated. But for weeks on end, they've only received 250 from the state. Yeah. If now with Johnson & Johnson coming out, and that's very good news. And they also say that it rejects really bad COVID cases that cause hospitalizations and people going on vents. I'm just hopeful. I mean, we have 1.8 million people in West Virginia. And, you know, we vaccinated, I forget the number now, but I believe it's over 200,000. We get more supply. West Virginia is going to get vaccinated probably before any other state is finished. I think it is. You're going to get it when you're eligible?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Second thing on the list when I was prepping, Ben, was how's the river? You live on the riverfront on Wheeling Island. You've taken some amazing photos when the water does come up. I was a little worried, so I looked it up this morning just because of the big thaw that's taken place since yesterday, really. And the Ohio River at noon, you know, when I checked it, only supposed to crest at about 20 feet, and that's pretty far from action stage and pretty far from flood stage.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I know this all starts from well northeast of us, but the you know the slow thaw and freeze has helped. You know, it's helped. I mean, obviously, right now, looking at this river chart, it looks like we're gonna peak at 19.7, so that's great. That's
great news.
27, I think, which is the action stage. So
creeks are a little high, but not, you know, not dangerous. But hey, even though it's 60 degrees outside and the creek's high, don't put a kayak in there.
Nowhere near our first crisis together, right?
Right.
Back in 2000 and hell.
Oh, dude, I'll never forget that, Ben. I was pretty happy that, you know, when the Great Flood of 2004 took place on September 17th, you know, we were on for a long time, Ben, a very long time. And I got to interview the FEMA director, you know, like across the board, because we were 50,000 watts. But yeah, I was just happy WVU had a home game. It was a beautiful sunny day down in Morgantown, and we played the game.
I got somebody telling me they can hear you, but they can't hear me.
Uh-oh. Get a little closer.
Can you hear me now?
All right, I have not. Hi, you Ben. Kim says hi, Ben. Can you turn Ben's mic up? Can't hear Ben. Ben.
Hey, I'm a little closer now. How's that?
Corby says, Ben, you are louder than this. Use your inside or your outside voice.
Corby definitely knows. Yes. Ben, I'm right here next to you.
All right, maybe.
All right. Thanks for the info.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't checking that, but
That's okay.
yeah, people, and Kim is a Wheeling Island resident, a dear friend of mine, all the way back from college. So if you have her support, you're doing something absolutely right.
Great, I appreciate it. You know, Wheeling Island's an interesting place. You know,
It's a great place.
We talk about Wheeling Island a lot, but it's more than just Wheeling Island.
It is.
North Wheeling, Fulton, part of Glenwood. I always say Glen Height. And I don't know. Are we getting to this yet? Are we ready to jump into this topic?
Well, first, I want to talk about the car collection.
Let's talk about the car collection.
Okay, I loved it. Now, I did a 311 on the cars that have been abandoned behind my house for years. They're still there.
So, sorry, I was looking at a Facebook thing to make sure they could hear me now. Yeah, so if you did one and they're still there, we're doing them in waves. So the city has contracts with the different towing companies to make sure they rotate through them fairly. You know what I mean? So we don't throw everything to Ace Garage, everything to, you know, whatever the other ones are.
Right.
You know, so they're doing them in waves. If you still have cars behind your house that you put a 311 ticket in for, you know, you're not necessarily in my ward, but I'll be happy to speak with Rosemary, make sure those things get escalated.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one thing Ben is going to do today is release the information about the demolition list for Ward 2. And as Ben just said, it doesn't just include the dilapidated Blytheville buildings on Wheeling Island. We're talking the entire ward that is made up of Wheeling Island, a little slice of downtown, most of North Wheeling, and the Fulton areas, like Ben just said. Ben, go ahead and release the information. What houses are coming down?
So I'm going to give you a little backstory, create a little suspense first. One of the things that...
Is his mic backwards, maybe?
Can you hear me now? Hello?
We're working on it.
Okay. So one of the things is there's a common misconception that
Areas
that are up for demolition or houses that get demolished are necessarily always demolished by the city. And that's not necessarily true. So,
right.
So I can tell you way more right now than any time I've ever known before. We are pushing harder for people to demolish those places that need to be demolished on their own dime and not the taxpayer dime.
Good for you. Good for the city. It's about time.
So I just want to say, when you hear this list, the first thing you say, well, there's a house next to me that needs done. Well, that's probably because, number one, I can promise you we know about it. Two, I can promise you at this point we're working on it. Three, I can promise you I'm probably calling the city 3 times a week about that property.
Okay.
Fourth, we are working very hard to make people pay for their own properties and not take them out of our own.
Sure, yeah, heck yeah.
So that being said, what we've done is we've created this new criteria to rate, and rank properties. So prior to this, it was basically, you know, some opinions that happened, and based on who was the squeaky wheel, who yelled loudest, there wasn't really a whole lot of consistency in how we determined how a property made it to the demolition list. Now we rank them based on age, fire damage, health and safety, degree of damage to the building, rehabilitation potential, priority based on location, you know, my opinion, the city manager's opinion, based on some other criteria. It's a little bit of a ranking in there with some discretion, but it doesn't override anything. The maintenance of the property, the nuisance, permits, ownership, whether it's private or city owned, the location, in location to other properties. So we've talked about the Wheeling Island, the old skate center, right, or the old exhibition hall, right?
We've talked about it a lot.
Some people have asked me, when's that coming down? Well, it's scheduled for demolition, but that has not been my top priority because that property is not next to anybody's house.
True.
It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't mean it's not important to me. It just means that I'm focusing on other properties that are higher priority, okay? So I really am getting to the point here, I promise. But when we talk about location, that's what we mean by location.
Right. Well, I have spoken with the people from Delaware North about that demolition. And what they have said is, you know, we get it. people in Wheeling are tired of looking at it, but we're trying to survive.
They are, but it's also under contract. I mean, it's under contract.
Okay.
So it's coming down.
It's good news.
Yep. So anyway, the list that kind of went out before that I kind of shut down and said, let's take a step back and reevaluate this list.
Yeah, Ben removed 2.
I removed 2.
Yeah, he thought there was higher priorities elsewhere.
Yes, and those 2 didn't necessarily come off the list per se. They just came off that current contract. All right, so I'll stop beating around the bush. I'll give it to you straight here at this point. First house that's top priorities, 313 North York Street, Wheeling Island. Next one is 522 Stone Boulevard. Next one's 311 Kenny Street, 53 Mountainwood Road, 112 Main Street, 532 Market Street, 22 7th Street. We have a couple more down the list on the priority list, depending on what we get back on estimates.
Yep.
So the next few would be 24 7th Street, 108 Main Street, 80 Kenny Street, and then we start getting into a handful more on Wheeling Island.
Okay, so 108 Main Street, that's in the middle of pretty much a whole lot of beautiful buildings.
It is. And, yeah, unfortunately, it's got to come down.
Right.
I'm a building hugger, so just in case there's any questions, I'm not a big fan of taking buildings down. If they are reasonably salvageable and we can find somebody to do it, I'm 100% for it. But there's a certain point where we just can't. And, when we get to that point, they're missing roofs, missing houses. They're starting to not starting to, for years now.
Right.
Negatively impact the quality of life of the people around them. Bring in pests, they bring in squatters. We've got squatters in one of these houses I just mentioned to you right now as of a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
It's on the demolition list, and it's got to come down. So
every neighborhood has problem properties. I just want to say that out loud. There's no golden ward in the city of Wheeling. It's kind of like drug trafficking. When we were growing up, Ben, we're in the neighborhood that you always heard about, bad on drugs. There's a lot of drugs there. Stay away from there. And of course, I'm talking about East Wheeling. That's not the case anymore, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not the case with blighted structures. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Even in Woodsdale, where I grew up, there are homes that are going to need to come down if somebody doesn't buy them or take care of them in the near future. I got a request, Ben, via text. Go through the list one more time if you would.
Sure, let me pull it back up again. That would be 313 North York Street, 522 Stone Boulevard, 311 Kenny Street, 53 Mountainwood Road, 112 Main Street, 532 Main Street.
Ben, do you remember the addresses of the 2 homes or 2 structures that you pulled off the demo list that's still on the demo list, just not as high on the priority list?
I do. It was, 2 seconds. One was on Ohio Street and South Front Street. Almost there. 1 minute, please. Here we go. 523 and 523 and a half South Front Street, which is still on the demo list, and it's still on the priority list. It's a couple notches down.
Okay.
And then the other one would be, where are we? I'm flipping through my screens here. It was on the corner of Ohio Street, and it is, come on. There we go, 110 Ohio Street.
110, okay.
And it's still on the list. It's just, it's a couple notches down, but it's still on the list.
I got you. In other words, it's not going to fall over on somebody just yet, but it will in the future.
That one has a roof. That one has most of the windows in it, and the porch is intact, and it's fairly secure. So,
How many dollars are we talking for those demolitions in Ward 2 alone? How many dollars?
we average about $20,000 property. So,
Okay.
give or take.
Now, Ben, let me ask you this: when the city has demoed properties like that side yard next to my house that we own, there was a house on that once. So we were looking at putting in a carport, maybe a garage of some sort, but there's a basement under there, Ben, and there's a basement 1.5 feet under the grass. Is that going to continue? Because I get it. It's about cost. I get it. but I've seen it even in downtown Wheeling, and that hampers future development. When I looked into the garage, we were looking at 2-car garage, 25 grand. Okay. And then we found out, and I wanted a basement to the garage. I thought it'd be the coolest man cave in the history of man caves. And they were like, well, if we have to dig that out, that takes it up to 40. And we're like, no. I mean, it was probably going to be more than 25 anyway, because we had to cut the yard, we had to cut the curb. That's all on us, all that concrete and everything. I got approval for it because I didn't know there was a basement and filled with debris from the demolition. Yeah. Is that going to continue? I mean, think about Wheeling Island, man. You and I did an article about it, as a matter of fact. What's it going to take to redevelop those vacant lots on Wheeling Island? One, we're going to have to be squeezing for room, and that may not happen again, Ben, during our lifetimes. I would love to see people on Wheeling Island do what we did here, and that's buy that lot and maintain it and possibly develop something new on it.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I don't know the official answer to that, but I can tell you from my fiscal responsible type of answer that we're not going to pay the extra money to remove the basements of those places. We're going to get them down to ground level and backfill over top of them. I mean, we're using taxpayer money to do this. Yeah. So we need to be responsible with that. I mean, as much as I would love to say we could do that, I don't know the answer to that officially, but I can tell you if anybody asked me, I would probably shoot that down pretty quickly.
I got you. And I understand that. Yeah. Now in the future, you never know. We may say, hey, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on that and get her done. Yeah.
So to touch on your other topic, how do we start looking at development on Wheeling Island? A couple ways. Our comprehensive plan lays out a pretty comprehensive plan about
it does
in terms of the south end, significant part of the south end being redeveloped for mixed use, zoning, I guess, if you will, or mixed use properties where there's basically a storefront on the first floor of some of these properties and maybe a nice apartment on the second floor, whatever like that. We get into issues with flooding. I can tell you that the properties we take down, when we take down a house between two houses in the middle of the island, I mean, realistically speaking, nobody's going to put another house there. If we can't sell a house for fair market value on the island right now,
right,
nobody's going to do that. Especially when you talk about zoning and the distance required between the properties, and the fact that you're going to have to lift that property up 12 feet.
12 or 14, depending. Right, you're right. You're right.
That's a vague number, but it's going to look ridiculous next to the other house. What we need to do, and what we've been doing lately, is when we do take a property and demolish it at the city's expense, we do require that we take over the deed at that point. We make them write that into it. And previously, it didn't happen that way all the time. And we've got some things where you have a property, you have a lot next to somebody that wants it, that would gladly take care of it, but it's still in the other person's name. And they're like, no, I'm not giving it away. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not like they cut the grass anyway. I mean, sometimes people do, but God, it's frustrating is what.
I know.
But moving forward, we're still going to put a lien on those properties. We still have to do that. But depending on the use, if we tear down a building and we leave a lot in the middle, and we own it, then the burden of that falls on us to take care of it and cut the grass. And
very true.
So it's not unheard of for somebody to make a request to the city manager to ask ask options on what that lien is, or maybe forgive part of that lien if you're going to take care of it and do it. And it depends on the situation. Now back to the other part about the south end. Our comprehensive plan calls for a land reuse agency to be created, and I'm a big fan of that. And that will be something that bubbles up on my radar soon. It's not there yet. I'm still fighting trash issues, but it's on my plan. It's one of the things I ran on. It's one of the things that's absolutely in my path. And that land bank, if you will, for lack of better terms, is going to let us, start obtaining properties and really start figuring out from a development perspective what we can do with those things.
Right.
So those aren't the properties that are in between two houses. What we need to do there is give it. Somehow get it in the hands of somebody else, plant nice trees there and make it a nice yard.
Ben, I got to be honest with you, and I laugh every time I see it referenced. You readily call yourself a geek.
I am a geek. But a geek's a good thing. A nerd is not. A geek's a good thing.
And you're pushing for new technology and this whole system and everything. I truly hope the people of Ward 2 appreciate your geekness.
I think some of them will, some of them won't. if you get what I mean. So if I can elaborate on that, one of the things that we're working really closely with the new code enforcement folks and the city manager is new technology. So we've got a couple solutions identified. We're still in the process of figuring out which one's the best product, who's the best technology partner.
Okay.
But the bottom line is regardless of the product we choose, our code enforcement department is very soon going to have the ability to go out with their little tablet, iPad, Android, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Walk up to a site that they're going to do an inspection on. They can fill out the inspection details right on their tablet in real time, take pictures right on their tablet, and that thing is going to automatically beam that information back to the city building. Paula at the front desk of that code enforcement office is going to hit a button, print out the citation, print out the letter, print out the reminder, print out the bill, print out the statement, whatever it is, and drop it in the mail right then and there. It's going to happen instantly. They'll batch it up. Theoretically speaking, we probably wouldn't do this, but theoretically speaking, a code enforcement officer would never have to step foot in the city building again outside of showing up the municipal court.
Wow.
So in today's world, if we were to say, hey, we have a repeat offender, recidivist, whatever, some cool legal term for that, right? And our legal folks need to say, let's make the case for a court, and we take this to court. It's a pretty manual effort to go get all that information. In tomorrow's world, they can hit one button for a property, or one owner, or one slumlord, or whoever it is, hit print and show the entire history of everything they did, everything they need, and have it in their hands right away. So to answer your question, the people in Ward 2 that care about their properties, which is many of them, the ones that are
very many, yeah,
that are marching right next to me, fighting, screaming, clean this stuff up, they're absolutely going to love it, and it's going to pay for itself in no time. The ones that are going to be, the ones that are leaving the trash out all over the place, or the landlords that are allowing this to happen, they're probably going to start having some bad days.
Right. All right, Ben Seidler is here, ladies and gentlemen. He is the council representative for the 2nd Ward. We have one segment left in the show. When we come back, Ben's going to go ahead and recite that demo list one more time to make sure that everybody got it. Is that cool, Ben?
That's cool, and I'll be posting it to Facebook this evening as well.
And
it'll be listed out there.
There you go. Plus, we've got many other topics to talk about. Big time. Let me check. Roger says it would be wonderful if the demo money could be utilized for attracting a potential buyer. Sharon says, hi, Steve. Corby said, I bet you never thought you'd say that about Ben. What'd I say?
Ben, we can't hear you.
Oh, no kidding, Corby. No kidding.
Love you.
All right, we'll go ahead and take that break. We're going to have the dancing hot dog on for just a few minutes, and we'll be back for the final segment. I'm Steve Novotney. It is Steve Novotney Lives right here